These are the kitchen signals, we're calling them, with the strongest repeatabilities. The big headline is the best kitchens feature layered detailing and don't rely on one hero finish. So you can't slap, gold poles on a 30-inch high stock cabinet. Residents now expect to get that hotel level aesthetic, but not just the aesthetic, they want the service that goes with it. For instance, in your wellness areas, not just having a gym, but making sure that that gym also has classes and wellness amenities and cold plunges with buildings that coordinate well with the neighborhood around it and allow you to integrate well, keep the tenants, and have the best retention rates.
We're going to focus on data-fed unit design, looking at finishes and marketing and how you can do that. So I'll do a little bit of a background on myself. I am an instructor at Kansas State University in the College of Business. And I also work for an AI company called Vozic AI. We do machine learning to help recurring revenue companies reduce customer churn. Why am I up here on the stage? I did spend 2 decades in the smart home industry and electronic security, and that's how I got connected with AE Ventures over a decade ago, and they asked me to get up here. I'm a good talker and a good facilitator of discussion, and that's my goal today. Now, I'm the less interesting one on the stage today. I'm really excited to have Meg Herlihy. We met last year at the fall session, and she did a great job as a panelist, that we brought her back to kind of be a showcase speaker for this opening session.
Hi everyone, my name is Meg Herlihy. I am the founder of Indaago Data. I am also a licensed interior designer. So Indaago Data is a real estate and interior design data analytics company. We do residential and multifamily data. So on the multifamily side, we are extracting data from floor plans and images from apartment buildings. The goal of extracting data from those images is to show what exactly is driving tenant behavior from an interior design perspective. So what are in the units, what are in the buildings that are driving those extra high effective rental rates in different markets? How can you guys capture higher rental rates per square foot and decrease vacancy rates? So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Floor plans and layouts, and I'm going to hand it over, the control over to Meg, who's going to walk us through.
My company does extract data and pull reports and market intelligence for all markets across the United States. For the purposes of today, we are looking at big picture trends. I would love to go through and talk about everybody's markets in detail, but we only have an hour. So for today, we're going to look at what some of the common themes are in these top performing units and buildings, and then we'll have you guys discuss everything that we talk about.
And so your methodologies, you've got technology that's going and scraping the web, saying what sites have pictures like this, and you're able to kind of pull that, or kind of combination of that?
And it's different for residential and multifamily. We are not scraping. That's not legal.
Oh.
Yeah. When we're looking at images, we use computer vision to extract a lot of the data. We also do a lot of hand annotation. We have the ability to go through floor plans and say, okay, what % of the unit is dedicated to kitchen space, storage space, how many linear feet of windows, how many linear feet of countertops, and very, very detailed, granular data, if that's what people want and need. But for today, it's just big picture. But yes, we are not scraping. We essentially are going through and looking at the images and pulling what data we can from there and comparing it to publicly available information and private information that we get on our own.
And then tying that to rent prices, and then being able to then correlate with some of the trends.
Rental rates, effective rental rates, and then rental rate per square foot, vacancy rate. Essentially all the things that we assume matter to y'all. Okay, so for floor plan data, we've broken it up into 2 different sections. So our smaller studio and 1 bedroom units, and then the larger 2, 3 bedroom units, 1,600 square feet plus. We all know there's a lot of demand now for these smaller studio apartments, micro apartments, things in the 400 or 500, 600 square foot range. What we're seeing as common themes in these smaller units that are performing better, getting those higher rental rates per square foot, are a few of these things. So a foyer moment, so even if it's a small detail, you're not walking straight into the unit, you're not walking straight into a bedroom or living area or a mess. Maximizing natural light, of course, using floor-to-ceiling windows where possible, even things like frameless glass shower door, making sure that there's as much open glass as possible. Efficient kitchen design, so full-size appliances with an efficient design. So typically that means a wall-based kitchen, island if it's a small one-bedroom, making sure that there is an open concept, but it also allows different functional zones. So you can see in this junior one bedroom over here.
Yeah.
There we go. You've got your private bedroom space. You've also got your open concept, sort of smaller kitchen with a table that could function as an island, as a desk, as a dining area, entertainment space, sufficient storage space, and 2 entrances to that bathroom. We're also seeing the need for work from home space. So if you look at this smaller one-bedroom unit, this is in Atlanta, you've got your space for an island, you've got plenty of walk-in closet space, but you've also got a built-in desk. So if you're doing Zoom calls or you're working from home, you have plenty of space there to store all of your items. But all of this is within a 600 square foot design. And then, of course, figuring out a way to incorporate outdoor space as much as possible, even if small. So you're having some element of that indoor-outdoor living. So then in these larger format units, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and townhouse units, we're seeing, of course, as you guys probably all know, single family livability is the goal, with all of the maintenance-free advantages of living in a rental community. So amenities and convenient location. So things like, of course, garages where possible, porches, islands, lots of walk-in closets, built-in storage, and then work from home potential. And typically that's either in the form of a built-in desk, an office area, or a flex den space. Washer dryer should be obvious at this point for anything Class A, but we've got that in there as well. But all of this sort of storage and single family home potential in a smaller scale. And so you'll see here, for instance, this is a rental townhouse community, but it's got the garage, it's got the 3 different bedroom options, it's got potential for a playroom if you have kids, if you need a work from home space on the main level. So we're seeing a lot of demand for these larger units as well, but in a way that really lets it function almost like a standalone home without having to deal with any of the maintenance. Even here, you've got dedicated dining space, which we're not seeing, of course, in some of these like smaller 1-bedroom and even 2-bedroom units. Just another example of one of the units that we see performing well. This one's interesting because it's got an office space that's sort of a walk-through, sort of a nook, but of course, if you family with kids and you didn't need that, great playroom space, plenty of closet space, decent laundry area, and space for dedicated dining and island.
Okay, we're gonna move to the next section. We got the floor plans and layouts. Now we're gonna talk about the finishes, fixtures, and features in units.
We're talking about big themes across multiple markets, but these are the kitchen signals, we're calling them, with the strongest repeatability. So time and time again, regardless of unit size, regardless of location, these are the things we're seeing in the units that are performing best in terms of kitchen. So the big headline is the best kitchens feature layered detailing and don't rely on one hero finish. So you can't slap, gold poles on a 30-inch high stock cabinet and think it's going to work. It's not.
So what does layered detailing mean?
We're going to go through that. So all of these different elements that we're looking at combine together to create what feels like a more custom, high-end designer finish versus just throwing one trendy item at a kitchen and trying to capture a higher rental rate for that.
Gotcha.
So in terms of, for instance, modern cabinetry upgrades, we're seeing a lot of that slab door and what we call the clean shaker, so that slim shaker door, a lot less of that standard thick shaker door that you've seen everywhere for years and years and years. That just doesn't feel on trend or current. Cabinets, when possible, that can go to the ceiling. Hardware on those cabinets, we call it a choice that matters, but it's a supporting cue rather than a primary driver in terms of upgrade and lift. In terms of countertops, we all know quartz, but quartz that we're seeing that seems to be working well are those more stone forward quartzes, so less of that solid color white or solid gray, and less of the speckled and more of the quartz that actually mimic natural stone. And then in the ultra high-end units, sort of the thicker countertop where possible. We're also seeing a lot of the two-tone kitchen design, especially in buildings where there's not multiple finish options. so that either the island is its own color, or in this instance, you've got the base cabinetry and the wall cabinetry that are different finishes. Obviously, easier way to sort of capture multiple different design tastes within your design package. Better appliance expressions. So we're seeing a lot of, like, for instance, Bosch, KitchenAid, JennAir in terms of appliances on the ultra high end, panelized appliances, gas ranges, induction ranges, and then of course, where possible, island driven kitchen planning. Bathrooms that feel more like a spa. And this is something we'll talk about too when we go a little bit later, that hotel hospitality sort of feel in your bathroom. One thing that we're seeing time and time again are those backlit mirrors, layered lighting, LED lighting that really gives you visual appeal when you're looking in a mirror, when you're getting ready, and the ability to sort of tone down the lighting depending on the time of day. Natural stone and or quartz that mimics natural stone, similar to the kitchen, large format tiles, those frameless glass shower enclosures where possible, in larger units, separate tub and shower. And then, of course, tile surround and tile that goes to the ceiling is always preferable. Rainfall shower heads. And then in terms of vanities, once again, going above that standard stock cabinetry look, medium tone stains, grayish, beige, they're typically outperforming the more commodity finishes of like white and gray that we saw a lot in the past. We call it design polish, but design polish matters for the rest of the unit as well. So similar to kitchen, where a hero finish is not going to steal the show and make things jump from one tier to another in terms of price, the entire unit needs to feel cohesive and as polished as the kitchens and bathrooms. So this particular image that I have is 99 West Paces in Atlanta. Gorgeous, expensive, perfection in terms of multifamily. But if you look at this picture, of course, they've got their kitchen and they've got this sort of hybrid door. It's not raised panel, it's not recessed panel, it's not slab. It's just got a little bit of detailing. Warm colors. The trim is painted a nice grayish color. They've got the recessed built-in shelving right off of the kitchen area. Higher ceilings, as we see here, the 9-10 foot ceilings are critical in terms of lift, floor to ceiling windows, integration with the outdoor space. Of course, and we don't have a closet picture, but some sort of built-in closet system, whether that's alpha, whether that's something that's just made of wood. Having a little bit of an upgrade closet experience so that people are less reliant on bringing things in for that also is something that we're seeing a high lift on. All right, so let's talk about hospitality. What we're seeing is that residents now expect to get that hotel level aesthetic, but not just the aesthetic. They want the service that goes with it. So a building that has all of the best design details and looks great, but has a terrible, has terrible service, or leasing agents aren't great, they're just not reliable, that's not going to work and it will not allow for retention. So we're seeing, like, for instance, in your wellness areas, not just having a gym, but making sure that that gym also has classes and wellness amenities and cold plunges, and everything is part of a larger brand and it communicates that brand as a building. Amenities matter, we all know that, but hierarchy matters more. So here are the things that we're seeing as the sort of most important amenities and things that are less important. Pool, whether that's a rooftop pool or a courtyard pool, fitness with the wellness programming, co-working, whether that's office space, whether it's like a connect situation, whether it's private offices downstairs, and then rooftop lounges and pet programming. These are what we're seeing as sort of the baseline for that luxury product. And then some of the legacy things like community rooms and theaters are showing up as less important these days and less likely to result in a measurable lift. Baseline is moving higher, right? For these Class A luxury buildings, we're competing with single family homes. Residents expect that full polished architectural experience that goes in the unit, outside the unit, when you walk in the door, in all areas and all touch points. Talk about fitness, it's not just the gym, it's having the Peloton, it's having the yoga studio, it's having classes, it's having potentially the cold plunge and the hot tub. And then, of course, now that everybody's working from home, the co-working, conference space, glass offices, and then smart home tech.
I think we've kind of been dancing around the topic, is that wherever your market is, whether you're Class A, whether you're workforce housing, you need to know how you're trying to differentiate yourself against your competitors, and what are some things that you're bringing to the table that are going to resonate, and then leaning into that.
Got a picture of the Sutton in Buckhead, but this is a good example of where everything sort of comes together. So the best communities are polished at all the touch points. We've got the font here, and when people are starting to search for their apartment, it is not in your building typically, it is online. So how is that web experience speaking to them when they walk in the door? How is the font? How is the lobby? How are all these different things speaking to the identity of your tenants, whether that's urban professional or a young family or two kids out of college or in college whose parents are willing to pay for Class A luxury. Essentially, brand voice that's targeting the creative, aspirational, visually literate renters for Class A, especially over your just generic luxury seeker to really get that extra rent per square foot. And then, of course, the community that's creating like the full, complete lifestyle stack. So it's not just the unit, but the amenity zones and the pet infrastructure and the service convenience and the whole design story. We know that unit design cannot be performed just in a box by itself. The best buildings have the best walk in terms of urban locations, have the best walkability, have the best integration with the neighborhood around it. We've seen time and time again that buildings that coordinate well with the neighborhood around it and allow you to integrate well keep the tenants and have the best retention rates. So, of course, unit design, amenities, common areas, none of that can be designed in a vacuum because none of this will work without the right site. So all of the location amenities are intended to sort of amplify the design story.